Hey guys, David Patrick Green, davidpatrickgreen.com, hackhollywood.com, and actorpower.com. Today we're going to talk about teenagers getting into acting and their parents as well. Okay, so what's the difference and what's the same between teenagers and adults getting into acting? Well, there's a lot of things that are the same, and there's a few things that are quite different. I'm not going to get into the stuff that's the same because I cover that in all my other videos and all my other videos that I will make. So let's talk about the differences. What is different about a teenager who wants to get into the business versus an adult? Well, a teenager, because they are young, isn't really expected to have credits the same way an adult actor would have. So you can approach an agent and you might not have a lot of experience as a teenager. I'm pretty much talking about, 14 to 17. If you're beyond 18, they're going to expect you to maybe, have some kind of experience. But if you're in the, 13 to 17 range, they're not going to expect too much. So you could probably approach an agent, making a few assumptions here. But you could probably approach an agent and they will probably talk to you. And obviously you want to talk to agents that specialize in teenagers and possibly children. Some of them are going to do both. Some of them will just do teens. Some will just do children, etc. But here is the assumption. So let's say you have a teenager, they really want to do this, and the assumption that I'm making is that they are dying to do it, and they've been bugging you and bugging you and bugging you, and you finally say, okay, fine, we'll do this. Whatever that means. If you live in Los Angeles already or you live in New York, that's one thing. It won't be as much effort. But if you are from out of town, then you're going to have to pick up and possibly move, depending on where exactly you live. I highly recommend you don't move before you figure out if the kid really wants to do it, okay? See what they can accomplish, see how badly they want it, where you live now, and don't be a silly parent and because they say, I want to go to Los Angeles because it's pilot season, and you just go, oh, okay, and you show up at the Oakwood Apartments in Hollywood, and you spend 3 months there, and you spend $20,000, and you talk to a bunch of parents who don't know what they're really talking about, and there's a lot of envy and guilt and mean girl stuff going on. It's really not a good scene, and I wouldn't recommend it. Make sure that your child, your teen, really, really, really wants to do it, and they have to demonstrate that by getting involved with whatever's going on wherever you live, okay? So do that first. If they don't show enough interest to get involved where you live, then there's no way you should go out to Los Angeles because it's going to be a huge disaster. Okay, so let's just assume they really, really want to do this, and it's not that much of a burden to go to where you're going. I highly recommend not going for pilot season. Like, everybody gets crazy about pilot season. First of all, it's in the middle of the school year, so I don't know how you would pull that off. I mean, I guess you can tutor them or whatever if you've got money, but if you really want to be an actor, you don't just show up for 2 months and, cross your fingers. That is not a valid approach. What other career would you do that for? Oh, my kid's a great badminton or tennis player, or not even that they are, they just want to be. So let's go to let's go to Wimbledon and just try it out and see how they do, because that's kind of what you're saying. Albeit there are a few naturals in acting who can just step in front of a camera, step on a stage and pull it off, but chances are not very good that your child is one of them. So let's assume that your child is not a miracle, not a prodigy like Beethoven, and that they're going to have to learn a little bit. There's going to be some work involved. Okay, so let's make that assumption. So let's just imagine you're in Los Angeles and you're taking this seriously, okay? I know a lot of you parents, maybe aren't thinking that way, but I'll think that way for you. So assuming that you're doing this seriously, you're going to approach an agent, a teen specialized agent. But before you do that, do a little homework, okay? Subscribe to IMDB Pro. look up all the agents that, well, first of all, you can look up all the teen actors that you can think of. Look at all the Nickelodeon shows, the Disney shows. Look at those actors and see who represents them. Maybe not the stars, because you're probably not going to get represented by a star agency, but it's possible because there's probably a lot more cross-pollination with teenagers, because who knows who's going to hit it, who knows who's going to leave town, who's going to go home in tears. So go onto IMDB Pro, look up the teens that are similar to your teen, okay? And that are doing something similar to what your teen is interested in, okay? That might be bubblegum stuff, really childish, or it might be deep, dramatic stuff. That, again, is up to your teenager. And look up these agents that represent similar actors to your teen. And I'm not talking about looks, okay? This isn't about blonde, brunette, ethnicities, races, whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It's what they are doing and what they want to do. Because like likes like, if that makes any sense. So if they represent a lot of teens on Nickelodeon shows, and that's what your kid wants to do, and that's what you feel like your kid is a good fit for, then find the agents that represent the kids that do Nickelodeon, okay? And maybe even Disney, because there's going to be some relationships involved, right? Maybe the agent that has a lot of kids on Disney shows may have some relationships with people at Disney. So it makes perfect sense. This stuff doesn't happen by accident. So approach the agents. I wouldn't worry too much about headshots just yet. I would just start talking to them and see how they respond to what you have to say. Introduce your son or daughter to them. See how that goes. Do not allow yourself to be pushed around and told to do a lot of things. I don't know if this is a female thing or if it's just a certain type of person thing, but just because someone tells you to do something, somebody tells you rules, doesn't mean that those are the rules, because they are going to tell you things that benefit them, but they won't necessarily benefit you. So you need to really get clear on what it is your kid wants to do before you start taking orders from an agent. And so the more explicit you can be about what you want and about what your child wants, the more the agent will respond, and you can find the agent that says, yeah, that sounds good, versus, oh, no, we don't work that way. Because I don't care how good of an agent someone is, if you guys aren't on the same page, it's going to be a disaster. Like if the agent says, oh, I see your kid doing, this, and you're like, no, he's not like that at all, and he has no interest in doing that, just because they may be a powerful agent and have successful clients doesn't mean you should go with that person, okay? You're much better off going with someone who gets you, who gets your kid, and who listens to you. Because you know what? You probably know deep down what it takes to be successful in any field. Just look at what successful people do in any other field and you'll see that, they work hard, they have very good skills, and they take a huge interest in it. They don't really care what everybody thinks. They just have an interest in it, so they do it, right? That's kind of the attitude you want to have. And they also get connected with the people who are in a position to allow them to do what it is they want to do. And guess what? That's not actually an agent. An agent has a role in this, but if you are serious and your kid seems serious, then you need to go out on your own and introduce yourself to people. And because nobody else will be doing this. I mean, there's very few adults who would even do that, but almost no parents would approach producers, writers, directors, casting directors directly and say, hi, I wanted to introduce you to my son, to my daughter, who is an extremely talented actor and who is a big fan of your show, and we have been watching it, and many of the episodes, I feel like, well, he feels like, or she feels like, they would have done an amazing job. So I wanted to introduce us to you guys, see what you thought. We'd be happy to read something for you. Let's take a few minutes and get to know one another. because really that is the ultimate goal anyway. That's what an agent is going to try and do, but you don't really ever know how hard they're trying to do it. They may say they're working hard, which just may mean they're submitting like crazy online. Like, okay, they have 50 kids and they're submitting them all online. So they don't really have a lot of time to get personal and work on behalf of one individual, because there's just not enough time in the day to, you know, really push one individual. And if they push that individual and they don't really do well, then they kind of, you know, look bad in the eyes of casting or whatever. This is the, you know, the agent's mentality, is they don't want to burn any bridges, so to speak. So you can't really expect them, even though you should be saying, look, when the right thing comes up for my son, I really want you to get him out there, because, you know, I really want you to get on the phone, talk to casting, and get him in front of them at least one time with the right part, because then he's really going to shine, right? That you need to have that kind of confidence, and so does your child. Because if they don't have that kind of confidence where I want to get in front of somebody and do this and I'm gonna nail it, then you're in a situation where they're kind of a beginner, they don't have a lot of confidence, they're going to take classes and it's going to be a long road, and the chances are of it ending well are not very good. It's sort of like if you have an average student in school, the chances are, you know, if they're not pushing in some direction, they're going to stay middle of the road. And unfortunately, there is no middle of the road in professional acting. You could do, you know, theater in the park or whatever for the rest of your life, but if you want to break into actual professional acting on TV shows and movies, then your kid better be charming and funny and personable and really, really, really want to do this, because they're actually, if they get to be a series regular, they're going to be the center of attention, and they're going to have to know how to deal with that, almost like an adult. You'll see, if you ever see any of the kids interviewed, like teenagers interviewed that are on TV, you know, they're not mopey teenagers with that can't string words and sentences together. They're highly intelligent, motivated, interested kids. Like, they have opinions, they have thoughts, they have interests outside of acting. But, you know, when they read material, it speaks to them. They're like, whoa, yeah, like, oh, I feel that. Yeah, I can't wait to try this in front of a camera or on stage or wherever they end up. So, you know, it's really important that your kid is showing desire and skills, interest, really just almost like an obsession, but it has to be an obsession with some skills. Otherwise, who's going to want to, you know, take them on? Nobody's going to hire them. Nobody's going to want to represent them if they can't deliver when somebody sends them out or somebody calls them in. So those are sort of the basics. There's a lot more I could talk about, and I will make some other videos, but for the most part, you really have to have a seriously interested teen. They have to show talent early on. They don't have to have credits, but you and your teen should definitely get in the habit of taking the responsibility for it all yourselves, okay? You cannot depend or trust really what other people are going to tell you, because you don't know what's right or wrong, right? And the last person you want dictating things to you is someone who's not signing the checks, okay? So agents have their own views on things, and each agent, of course, has their own views. Casting directors have their views, and each one has their own views. And you don't want to get stuck going, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? You need to decide what you want to do. And when I say you, I'm talking to the teens and the parents here, but you need to decide what you want to do and then go for it and get out there, and don't meet a lot of parents who are going to tell you this and that, because look, if they're not already killing it, then what do they actually know? You know, and a lot of them are going to give you bad advice because, you know, it's it's that German word Schadenfreude. It's not enough for you to for them to succeed. They also want you to fail. Okay, so you're in this kind of on your own, but understand that the universal principles of success hold true no matter what, and that basically means know what you want to do, acquire the skills to do it, get involved in the business by going out and meeting people in the business, such as directors, producers, writers, casting directors, etc. And if you develop relationships, positive relationships with these people, and then you show them that you can deliver, you have the skills, they will be thrilled to find you, and they will be more than happy to work with you as soon as possible. Okay? So that's really all you need to know is the 5 steps of know yourself, know the skills, know the business, know the people, and then you will become known. Whether you're a teen or whether you're an adult, it's the same process basically. The only difference is you don't have to have a track record to get started as a teenager, but everything else pretty much applies. Sure, they have a bunch of rules for what goes on the set and how many hours a teenager can work, etc., and they got to tutor you, but that's kind of all neither here nor there. You'll find all that stuff out if you actually get a job. So, and there's stuff about joining the union and all that, but look, again, if you're a teenager, a lot of the rules that apply to adults don't necessarily apply to them because they're young. How are they supposed to get in the union? How are they supposed to have all these credits and all that kind of stuff? So anyways, guys, for you parents out there, this is more or less for you. Make sure they really want it. Make sure they show the skills. And don't go for pilot season. It's a giant waste of time. I would say 99% of the parents show up. They spend thousands of dollars. I don't know if they have a good time. If you want to make it a vacation, I guess you can, but don't kid yourself that it's really about acting. If your kid really wants to act, then you got to throw everything you can into it. And the best way to do that is to start wherever you are right now. One of my clients uses this term, be a star where you are. If you show promise there, like if you're in all the school plays, if you're killing it, if you're writing stuff, like the kids from Freaks and Geeks, those guys were all great actors at a very young age, and they've all gone on to have incredible careers. And Judd Apatow, the creator of that show, obviously gigantic. So look, there are late bloomers and there's early bloomers, and there's peaks and valleys and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they've just got to have a really strong passion for it, or they're gonna go up a little bit maybe, and then they're just gonna fizzle out. Not too many of them go way up and then just drop off. Unless they drop off because they get addicted to drugs. And that's bad parenting. Don't let them be bad teenagers. You gotta... One thing I didn't say yet that they're gonna need is discipline, okay? You need to teach them self-discipline. You need to... They need to understand that concept, okay? That sometimes you're not gonna wanna do stuff and you have to do it. And you can't just walk away. And I know that parents are very lax with a lot of their kids these days, and that just doesn't fly in the professional world. So even though they're teenagers, they're still going to be working in the professional world, and everyone they're dealing with, the agents, the casting directors, the producers, the directors, the writers, they're all pros, right? And they want to work with pros. So they need to learn self-discipline, okay? And just teach them that concept as early as possible. You're not going to be there to tell them what to do all the time, and there's going to be times when they're tired and they don't want to do another take or whatever, and they're going to have to learn to appreciate the position that they are in and learn to enjoy it. So I just want to throw that at the end because that's very important. Self-discipline. You really, you kids, you teenagers are not going to get anywhere if you don't learn some self-discipline, and that is doing things when you don't want to do them necessarily and getting into a routine of doing it every day. What are we doing today? We're going out to do this. We're going out to meet this person. We're going out to meet that person. We're going to call a few people and see if we can set up some appointments. We're going to see if we can get on the lot at Warner Brothers. We're going to see if we can get on the lot at Universal or Sony Studios. And maybe we'll knock on a few doors and say, hey, what are you guys up to? And we're going to do research on IMDB and Google people and find out what they're all about, so that if we do run into them, if we do knock on their doors, we go, hey, we're here because we like what you do, and I want to do what you do. I want to work with you. And guess what? Bam. People are going to respond to that. Okay, guys, that's it for now. Just a little primer on teen acting, and there's going to be lots more where that came from. But if you have any special requests, let me know. But I know a lot of the information out there is absolutely ridiculous, and it's all because it's skewed from the perspective of someone who has their own ideas about what you teens and parents should do because they want to profit from you. And you know, you just have to learn not to listen to other people, because just because they're in the business doesn't mean they know what they're talking about for you. They may know what's best for them, but it doesn't mean they know what's best for you. Okay, so make mistakes, go for it. Call people, you know, make mistakes. Okay, that is how you will learn how this all works. Don't just ask what to do. Go and do stuff, try it out, see what happens. Don't spend a lot of money early on. Just get in front of people and talk to them. People that sign checks, ideally. Get those people on the phone, get in meetings with them, have a coffee, have lunch or whatever. If you've got the hot kid, they're going to want to meet them. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this was helpful. Let me know. Give me the teenage thumbs up. Yeah, dude, that was pretty good, man. All right, I'm going to tell my mom about this, and maybe we'll come out there. Not for pilot season, dude, for good, because this is my passion. All right? Yeah. All right. That's it for now, guys. I will talk to you later on.